My video for December the 5th, 2017 is entitled Falling Off the Edge of the World. I had no idea that Michael Tellinger bought into the flat earth nonsense that has become a new fundamentalist religion for many people. As I've said in previous videos, when this idea was first suggested to me, saying that people I once respected were on board, I took down my globe and began listening to their side of the story. Then I remembered the Norwegian father and son who sailed toward the North Pole. Surprisingly, they were able to sail into the opening and spent several months interacting with people living inside the earth. They re-entered the surface world down near Antarctica, where they were shipwrecked. The father died, but the son was rescued. When he told the story, they thought he was nuts, but he insisted it was true throughout his life, living into his 80s. While I agree that we have been told many lies in human history, the resurgence of the flat earth belief is total nonsense to me. And I don't care how many good people who are otherwise sane may believe we can fall off the edge of the world. Yes, I was quite taken aback when people started posting on my previous video that Michael Tellinger was flat earth, that he was a proponent of that. And he's looked at it, and a lot of people have looked at it, no doubt. I don't see that he's a major proponent. It's not something that he's pushing, at least not that I can tell. He's considered the possibility. He may think there's some credulity, I guess is the right word. There's some level of credibility to the idea that the earth might be flat. But again, what made me realize that it's nonsense is the entering in at the North Pole and coming out down by Antarctica and being shipwrecked, and a first-hand testimony of someone who went through the center of the earth and found a civilization of beings, human-like beings, I'm quite certain, although quite larger than we are on the surface. And they had a sun in the middle of the earth, and it was described by first-hand account. And Admiral Byrd also supposedly had expeditions to the North Pole and sailed in, at least in the not all the way through maybe, but was able to sail into or go into the North Pole. And then they sent an expedition down to the South Pole, but were met with great resistance and defeated and sent back. They did not succeed. Some say that the Nazis actually have set up military bases down on Antarctica. Now, Antarctica, of course, on the globe model, sits at the bottom of the earth. On the flat earth model, it sort of rings at least a portion of the edge, if there is such a thing as an edge. I don't buy the edge theory. And I don't think we can fall off of it because it doesn't exist. But I do acknowledge that we have been lied to all of our lives about many things. And the people that have been the predominant liars have had an agenda. And that agenda is based on fraud. It's based on deception. It's based on limiting us and not telling us the truth. Because if we could know the truth, we could be set free from all of the insanity of our world, where the most evil and malevolent beings seem to have been able to take control of the planet. And they live with impunity, or have for a long time lived with impunity and been able to get away with very horrible things, including child murder and child molestation, and I mean, they have brainwashed their own families. The elite I'm talking about now, the so-called elite, have brainwashed their own families for generations upon generations, intermarrying and tried to keep their bloodlines pure. And you know, the whole thing that we've been told, the whole story that we've been told all of our lives is rife with lies. And that includes, as I've said in previous videos, lies that have been built into our religions, lies that have been built into our history, lies that have been built into our scientific explanation of things. So many things have been deceptive, and the deceivers have operated that way on purpose because it gives them the illusion of control, and it keeps the majority of the human family in ignorance. I don't want to be in ignorance, and I don't really care what shape the earth is. I would simply like humanity to learn to love one another. I would like to see a spirit of cooperation born that will lift us up out of the slavery of fighting wars and of laboring for pieces of paper that in recent years and recent decades and the recent century plus have had zero value at all. They've not been backed by anything of value, no tangible value whatsoever. Fiat currency, that's what it is. But all currencies are unnecessary if we would learn to cooperate with each other, if we would learn to each contribute a small part to the whole and serve one another without expecting payment in return, but simply because it's life supporting life. That's the whole thing. Now, some people push with all of this, they push the idea that eating meat is wrong. And some of the flat earth people are also pushing vegetarianism. But even plants are alive. Life supports life. And death is part of that scenario. Will we live forever? Well, some say if we could live forever, it would get boring and we would want to die and come back and have a different experience with a different identity. But wouldn't it be nice if we could come back with different identities and remember what had gone previously, so that we wouldn't have to relearn everything and we could build on what we already have experienced and what we already know to be true because of that experience. Folks, I want to live on a world of peace. I don't like living on a planet of lies. I don't like being deceived by people who obviously do not have my best intentions at heart, nor the best intentions for the rest of the world. They only think of themselves. It's a very selfish and very cruel ideology that is put forth by the so-called elite, the established leaders of the world. They are not leaders. They are enslavers. We need to understand that they have enslaved us. We've been tricked and cajoled and entrapped by lies about who we are, about our potential, and I would like nothing better than the so-called more advanced beings that live inside of the earth, as well as extraterrestrials who apparently live on other planets and in other civilizations, even other galaxies. I would like to see us all be able to work together, and this whole thing of allowing negative influences to dominate and overrule positive influences is simply insanity. I'd like an end to that. That's what I live for. That's my purpose for being. I don't want to die. I want to live. But I want to live in a world that makes sense and a world that works for everybody. Thank you for listening, and namaste.